Boom, boom, boom. We are live. We're live. What's going on? We are live. Today is Tuesday, the 2nd of April, and I got a great show for you. We're going to open up with some NoFX, because we're the Brews.
Friday night we'll be drinking Manischewitz, going out to terrorize Goyam. Stomping shaking, screwing chicks as long as we're home by Saturday morning.
Hey, we're the Brews. Oi, oi. Orthodox acidic OG oil.
Orthopedic, Dr. Martin's good for waffle making, kicking through the shin.
We got a great show for you guys. We're going to be looking, of course, we have the press secretary going to be coming out whenever it's equitable. We're going to be looking at Hunter Biden's made the news again today, so we're going to look at that. And we are the chosen ones. We separate our meal plate from our meat. Oh, it just started raining. That sucks. I don't know. Psycho Meshuggah. We're the Brews. I got a great show for you guys. Yeah, the rain is a little terrible. Oh, my mic is super hot. Just bring it down, okay? Yeah. All right. Okay. What's going on, y'all? It's me, SpaysE McG. I'm your favorite cartoon nerd with the news, and I'm back at it again, doing my thing, doing what I do. You don't know how we do what we do when we're doing what we're doing. And today, that thing is, we're going to be laughing at the press secretary. She's going to come out here and lie to us, refuse to answer questions, demonstrate her lack of fundamental knowledge about how things are going in the world, in America, all these things, right? Now, well, we have a lot of news to go over. Excuse me. There's a lot going on in the world. Joe Biden did an interview on Good Morning America or something fucking stupid like that. And so we're going to laugh and look at that. We've got, there's another Chaz uprising, guys. Apparently, the pro-jihadi movement inside of the Democrat Party has occupied a little piece of New York, and yes, they've already set up ethnic and racial segregation, and they will attack Jews if they come into their area. They will attack the police or something like that. I don't know. We're gonna look at all that. We're gonna look at the what's going on in Israel right now. There's a carnage happening. I'm not gonna try to justify it. I'm just gonna tell you, like, what's at stake here. And we have some strange things to understand. There was a recent school shooting in Finland. When I say recent, I mean like a few hours ago or something. And by looking at that, right, I have gleaned some information. I think that we should all. I think that we can learn a lot by looking at worldwide mass shooting fatalities and comparing them to gun laws in those countries. And well, yeah, it's just not going to turn out the way that conventional wisdom would tell you it would. And we're going to look at that because I think that's a little well, it's surprising to me. I'll tell you that. I learned something. Now, it turned out the opposite way of what I thought it would, actually. Which is, you know, when you're dealing with the conventional wisdom, right? You have to consider that most people are retards, right? Right? Like, think about how dumb the average person is. And then realize that half the people are dumber than that. That's what George Carlin said anyway. Okay, yeah. So what's going on, y'all? We got somebody out there. We got blind guy. Blind dude. What's going on, blind dude? I'm glad you're here, brother. Yeah. Oh, the rain is terrible. And it just started raining. Of course. You know, I just can't catch a break ever. But, I'm not really trying, so it's all good. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, hold on. We are live, folks. You never know what's going to happen when you're live. But, as I have told many of my friends, the I don't know exactly how to put it. Okay, you should always expect failure, right? Expect everything to fail horribly and miserably, and then try to figure out all the ways it can fail, right? Or you just rush things like I like to do, and then you get broken shit like this sometimes. Hey, that's what we do. Yeah, so yeah. Oh god, that rain is terrible. Yeah. I don't know if I don't know. I'm gonna look at the weather right now and see how much longer it's gonna rain for. Can you guys hear that? I imagine you can. This is fucking my show up. Let's see here. Radar. Okay, so I'm looking at my city. I don't know. I can't see it. It's not showing me. Play. Oh, there we go. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. How big is that? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. So, at least, so it's raining where you are right now, I'm sure. Okay, you can hear me fine? Yeah, it must be raining where everyone else is, too, because the whole entire country is covered in clouds. Oh, no, it's just the Midwest. I wasn't zoomed out far enough. Wow. Yeah, so it's raining from, like, Texas to Toronto. Well, we'll see, Girl Gone Dog. We will see what's happening. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's only from Texas to Toronto. Alright, yeah, well, so Joe Biden did an interview, guys. So let's have a look-see at that. And see, how terrible it was. Alright.
Roll, and he's got some special guests this morning. Hi, Al.
Indeed we do, guys. Welcome, Mr. President. It's so nice to see you.
Good to see you again, Al.
Dr. Biden, good to see you. Happy
Dr. Biden, Dr. Jill.
How's Easter for you guys.
Great. We spent it up at Camp David. As a whole family, my dad used to say family is the beginning, middle, and end. We had them all up there.
Yeah, what did he say?
On Saturday. We had a
Joe Biden's not good at doing the talking.
Plastic eggs and put some dollars in them.
He's very bad.
We're still missing one.
So the Easter egg roll is about to start. We had a little problem with the weather, but now the volunteers are getting set. And Dr. Biden, what's the theme this year? This year.
It is. I've been a teacher for over 50 years, so this is education. So as you can see, there's something for everybody here. So we have science.
I can't hear anything.
Ed class. You can learn about
Hey, what's up, Jokerfish?
that's coming. We have a reading nook. We have dinosaurs. Something for everything. Because education just doesn't happen in the classroom.
And as this gets rolling, between now and about 7 o'clock, you'll have 50,000 kids rolling eggs. When you think back on this time so far, what are one of your favorite?
Yeah, no, he's terrible.
All my favorite memories were the little girl.
Hold on. I can't hear this.
About 3 years old. Can you help me with your budget?
Let me redo my bigger speaker here so I can hear better. It's raining so hard, I'm having trouble hearing.
Is it a classmate of mine?
One of your classmates.
Because education just doesn't happen in the
I need more volume.
And as this gets rolling, between now and about 7 o'clock, you'll have 50,000 kids rolling eggs. When you think back...
Yeah, you want to keep them... And every one of them should be terrified of this man. Oh, Karine's starting early, guys. Oh, no. Okay, well, we'll save all this for the end. Hey, there's Peter Ducey. Golly, dude, that man is like 7 feet tall. Benson. It better be Olivia Benson. If you guys don't know, Olivia Benson is Law and Order, SVU. The show about rape. So we're going to have our brilliant, well-spoken, honest, articulate. Oh wait, no, Kayleigh McEnany's not the press secretary anymore. We're gonna have this dumb lying bitch come out. Oh,
just me and the Admiral.
At least she's in a cute dress. At least she's in a cute dress.
Yesterday, the Florida Supreme Court upheld the state's dangerous abortion ban, putting desperately needed medical care further out of reach for millions of women. What's worse? This ruling is also expected to trigger Governor DeSantis's even more extreme ban that would prevent women from accessing care before many even know they are pregnant. We will continue to stand with the vast majority of Americans.
Yeah, no, what's worse is that all the fatherless children that would be born without abortion will just clog up our prisons and, you know, waste all of our... See, instead of being able to put all of our money into Chinese battery factories, right? We'll have to pay all the welfare for all these fatherless children, guys. I mean, you know, there's only plus sides to abortions, right? You have dead kids, right? You have more money for war in Ukraine, right? You have more space in prisons to put all the black people who innocently murder, rob, and steal, you know, but they're just doing it for bread, guys. And yeah, so that's why they want abortions. They want abortions so that all the would-be single mothers are available to come work their shifts down at the Walmart, right? So, like, you know, that's why abortion is being pushed so hard, is because the corporations need women out of the house and into the workplace, right? So instead of them, becoming mothers and having families and taking care of their children, they would much rather than be on antidepressants, neurotic, single with disposable income in order to buy all of their worthless, overpriced crappy iPhone like 27s or whatever they are now. Right. So not only does it give them more people to exploit, right, but it also gives them more dumb people with unfulfilled lives that are willing to fill the holes in their heart with a $1,500 cell phone, right? So that's how this whole thing works.
Who support a woman's right to choose. President Biden and Vice President Harris will continue to work to protect reproductive freedom and call on Congress to pass a law.
Yeah, guys, it's reproductive freedom. You have as long as you want to kill your baby, you're free to do whatever you need to do, right?
Restoring the protections of Roe v. Wade. Second, starting this week, the White House will push congressional Republicans to extend funding for the Affordable Connectivity Program. Created as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law, the program is helping over 23 million Americans.
Oh, did you guys hear they can't clean up the Baltimore Bridge unless they get funding from Congress? Did you guys hear that? Do you remember? Do you remember last week when a guy told you nothing will happen and they're just going to ask for more money and they're going to just print more money to do this? Right. Yeah, well, it turns out that that's what's happening. Amazing, my foresight. Who would have saw that coming?
Save between $30 and $75 per month on high-speed internet costs. But
oh wow, it is raining like a motherfucker here.
Millions of Americans will lose this benefit in the coming weeks. 6 months ago, President Biden sent a request to Congress for $6 billion in supplemental funding to extend the program, but Republicans in Congress have failed to act.
Hey, what's up, SD?
Nothing. Tens of millions of their own constituents will see their internet costs go up, and some may lose access.
Are you still in the Philippines right now, buddy?
Finally, additionally,
things are heating up over there. Things are escalating quickly over there, buddy.
Illicit drugs to save lives. We are leading initiatives to step up counter narcotics cooperation, including with Mexico and the PRC, and launched the Global Coalition to Address Synthetic Drug Threats, which brings together more than 150 countries against cartels and illicit finance. Working with our Mexican partners, we have charged leaders of the Sinaloa cartel, and yesterday we charged 41 individuals connected to the Jalisco New Generation cartel. To date, we have sanctioned over 90 individuals.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the audio, guys. It is raining like a motherfucker.
Trade. A lot more work is needed, and that's why the president is pushing hard for the House to pass the Senate's border security agreement, or for Congress, more broadly.
You're coming back to America tomorrow? Awesome. Yeah, I'd get the fuck out of there, bro.
Agreement, which would provide additional technology to stop these illicit drugs. Now, it's important to acknowledge when a mistake has been made and take responsibility for it. So I want to recognize the Daily Caller for having the integrity to retract their story about the false claims that circulated this week about the Easter egg roll.
Hey, what's up, Captain?
Their retraction here. The ban of religious symbolism on eggs as part of the White House Easter egg art contest has been long-standing, dating back decades, and the Biden administration did not make any modifications to this rule. So we hope others learn from their good example. So leave that there. And finally, I want to read out the president's call. He called Chef Jose Andres to express that he's heartbroken by this news of the airstrike that killed 7 aid workers, and to express and share his deepest condolences.
Yeah, things are a total mess in Israel, guys.
He is grieving with the entire World central kitchen family.
Yeah, SD Marcos says he's not taking any shit from China no more. Marcos in the Philippines says he's not taking any shit from China anymore. Basically, that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about later.
People in Gaza and people around the world. The president conveyed he will make clear to Israel that humanitarian aid workers must be protected. Now, as you can see, Admiral John Kirby is here to discuss the president's call with President Xi and events in the Middle East. Admiral,
Good afternoon, everybody.
Why won't they ever?
Why
don't these motherfuckers ever talk about the Philippines, man? This shit, that is the most tense spot, I would say, right now. Even more than the Philippines, or more than Taiwan, right? Because China, right? China might be flying airplanes over Taiwan, right? But they're not, like, actively blockading and attacking their fucking military vessels, right? Right? They're not actively, like, attacking them, right? Like, I don't understand why none of these people are talking about this.
President Biden spoke by phone today with President Xi Jinping of the People's Republic of China.
She looks like an orange crayon.
In Woodside, California, back in November of last year. Over the course of about an hour and 45 minutes, the two leaders held a candid and constructive discussion.
I know, right, bro? It's sad.
And global issues, including areas of cooperation and areas of differences. They encouraged continued progress on issues discussed at the Woodside Summit, including counter-narcotics cooperation, ongoing military-to-military communications, talks to address artificial intelligence-related risks, and continuing efforts on climate change and people-to-people exchanges.
Fuck climate change, right? Climate change is a scam. Well, no. Climate change is not a scam. The climate changes, right? Yes, we are in a warming period. Yes, CO2 has a greenhouse effect, right? I don't know if it's as drastic as they claim, because real world conditions are not laboratory conditions, okay? But that aside, right, nothing that they're doing for climate change benefits the environment. Hear me out, right? When you think about, right, this, and I say this before, but it needs to be said. Carbon is not the biggest problem that we have, okay? Right, like, we are literally poisoning the ground and the air, right? By manufacturing lithium batteries, by manufacturing, like, the shit inside solar panels will give you cancer, right? Right? Like, if those things rot in a landfill and the water gets washed into the ground, people will get cancer, right? 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 And electric cars are a terrible idea. They just are, okay? Like, the car is 90% battery, yo. Or something like that. 75%. Right? It's like a 300-pound car with a fucking 3,000-pound battery. Right? Right? It's like that, guys. Yeah. Right? So, it's diminishing. The longer your range, you have to increase the amount of batteries just to carry the batteries, right? Right? It gets to a point where it's just retarded.
President Biden also emphasized the importance of maintaining peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. And he
like, who wants a semi-truck that can carry half the shit and drive 250 miles, right?
The importance of the rule of law and freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. He raised concerns over the PRC's support for Russia's defense industrial base and its impact on European and transatlantic security. And he emphasized that...
Oh yeah, a Russian factory blew up today again. It's amazing. It's amazing how the Russian factories keep blowing up. Jihadi attacks. U.S. was not involved.
The United States has emphasized the U.S.'s enduring commitment to the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. President Biden also raised continued concerns about the PRC's unfair trade policies and non-market economic practices, which harm American workers and families. President Biden also emphasized...
Well, blind dude, I don't know how much more efficient a battery can ever be, right? Like, there is no magic bullet here, right? There's the laws of physics, and we're up against the upper limits of what we know is possible, right? Like, oil, right, has like an insane energy density, right? And batteries don't, right? And we will never get a battery to where a kilogram of battery is worth a kilogram of gasoline, right? It's going to be like 5 to 1, right? Right? 3 to 1, something like that. I can't remember the exact ratio, but that's because of how a battery works, right? You need like a structure to hold that ion, that electron in place, right? Or whatever it is, right? You need a whole, basically a mesh of other materials that hold that electron, right? So that needs like a metal ring around it, basically. If you think about it, right? Right, whereas gasoline, right, is, you just have to break one bond, right? So, right, like every 2 atoms, right, or whatever, or depends on what you're burning, CH, for every, right, 8 hydrogen or carbon atoms, right, there's 1 hydrogen atom, and when you break that bond, you release all that energy from those 8 fucking carbon atoms, right? But in a catalytic situation where you're using a chemical reaction, right? You have a catalyst, you have a electrolyte, right? There's the bond is, you're not breaking a bond and releasing energy. You're creating an imbalance in charge, right? So, like, both of your sides, right, need shit in it, right? That holds the electrons in place. And we're pretty much at the limit of what we can do with lighter, elements in there, right? Right? So, like, Hey, what's up, Uzi? Hey, we got some news about Finland we're gonna talk about. But
The United States will...
yeah, but batteries ain't due to get much better, is my point. We're pretty much up against the edge of how far we can go with batteries.
Continue to take necessary action to prevent advanced U.S. technologies from being used to undermine our national security without unduly limiting trade and investment. The president also...
Hey, what's up, Sonic Boy?
...to release U.S. citizens who are wrongfully detained or under exit bans. We believe that there is no substitute for regular communication at the leader level to effectively manage this complex and often tense bilateral relationship. And both presidents agreed to pick up the phone and speak when needed. Following the leader's call, we will continue to advance our interests through cabinet-level diplomacy, including visits to China by Secretary of the Treasury Yellen and incoming days, and by Secretary Blinken in coming weeks. Now, if I could just, as Karine noted...
Finland and electrolytes are good. They are good.
We were outraged to learn of an IDF strike that killed a number of civilian humanitarian workers yesterday from the World Central Kitchen, which has been relentless in working to get food to those who are hungry in Gaza and, quite frankly, around the world. We send our deepest condolences to their families and loved ones. We've seen the comments from Prime Minister Netanyahu.
All right, we're just going to skip past all this. because we're way behind.
It gets there to be assembled and Jay.
And how can aid workers be protected?
Worries. What do you mean by worries?
About its status, viability?
Oh, we are, Sonic Boy.
Well, I mean, let me break that up a couple of ways. I mean, obviously the temporary pier, it's known as a JLOT, it's Joint Logistics Over the Shore. It's on its way to the Eastern Mediterranean.
It's on its way?
It's not.
Didn't Biden announce a month ago that he was going to build this thing? And now it's suddenly on it's not even there yet?
It hasn't arrived yet, and it'll take some time once it gets there to be assembled and to achieve what we call
Like, it couldn't take any more than 1 week by boat, right?
interim operating capability. We expect that will happen in coming weeks. There's no concern in terms of our ability and the skills needed to build it and to get it up and running. What we are working with partners in the region are two things. One is
I agree, blind dude. Yeah, oh yeah. Just the things that are on the verge of being like laser weapons and all that shit. All that was invented in the 80s, blind dude. You know that, right? I'm preaching to the choir. Y'all know that, right? We invented all that. All the lasers that we're showing off now, we invented 40 years ago.
Getting the maritime materials to the pier.
Or at least prototyped, right? They built the fucking prototypes 40 years ago, right?
And secured, and how the material gets from the pier into Gaza and further distributed. Those modalities are
That's why UFOs are a cover story for advanced aircraft.
still being...
Think about it. It makes perfect sense. Aliens flying across the universe at the unimaginable, if they exist, which is highly unlikely, but if they're there, right? Being able to get here from, how rare of an occurrence that is if they exist, right? Nah. But, like, secret, because, like, think about it. The stealth bomber, right, was invented by the 80s, right? The SR-71 Blackbird, right, was invented in like the late 60s, right? Right? Like, think about that, right? That was a sub-stealth. It was almost stealth, right? Think about that. Think about all those experimental planes. We're getting off topic. It's because what he's talking about, I don't give a shit.
We're under no illusion about the fact that Gaza is a war zone. And force protection of our troops, which will not be entering Gaza, will be first and foremost in the president.
Yeah, guys, they're definitely not going to be entering Gaza.
Its mind, as well as our military leaders.
When he makes sure to qualify it like that, like, oh, and they won't be entering Gaza, they're entering Gaza.
To make sure that they can operate that pier, assemble it and operate it in a safe way. But believe me, we're well aware. Gaza is a war zone. In fact, that it is a war zone.
I don't know exactly. I think its top speed is classified still, but it was very fast.
Thanks. John, you said that the White House is
So fast it pretty much was in space. It had to fly in space, basically.
Workers. Has the White House already conveyed that outrage to anyone in the Israeli government, and what was their response?
Well, I won't speak for the Israelis. We've been very clear about our feelings over this particular strike and our expectations of the Israelis.
Have they provided, or has the Pentagon been able to gain any understanding of what happened here yet? I know it's early, but it sounds, based on what Jose Andres has said, that these workers were doing everything right. Their vehicle was marked. They were in a safe zone.
Yeah.
What more could they have done?
Yeah, it's really, it's devastating to see these images and to hear these early reports about the steps that they tried to take to protect themselves. But the Israelis, look, they've already said this was on them, and they're doing this investigation. We obviously want to...
It's on them, guys. Yeah.
Make sure that investigation gets completed and is as transparent as possible. As I said...
So are the Israelis accidentally killing aid workers, or are they doing it on purpose in order to discourage aid from coming in? Who's to say? But, that is a viable tactic, I will say.
My opening statement that there's accountability to be held here.
The question on China. trying to.
I mean, if I were fighting a war, I would do those kinds of things, probably. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how far I would go.
Chinese government or people associated with the
I don't know.
government.
When your life is on the line,
I would just say that we've been clear consistently.
2,200 miles an hour?
Meeting in California about our concerns over.
Yeah, it's still like 4,000 kilometers.
And
Almost.
efforts by certain actors.
That's
including
fast.
From the PRC to affect that.
There's a new message in this conversation.
I don't have a new message to read out to you today.
Thanks, Admiral. On the death of those
At that speed, you could fly around the world in 6 hours.
American who was killed. Netanyahu's quote,
no.
it happens.
12 hours.
What is your reaction to that comment from Netanyahu?
I don't think it'd be useful for me to get into a tit-for-tat here with the Prime Minister of Israel from the podium. We've been very clear about our expectations for this investigation. We noted that the Prime Minister said himself there will be an investigation. So has his military said that. We look forward to that investigation being thorough and swiftly done. And as I said, that it'll be transparent, the results of it, and that if there's accountability that needs to be had, that it will be had.
How can you take Netanyahu at his word? As Nancy was saying, this was a deconflicted zone. They had marched their car. They had even coordinated their movements with the IDF.
Yeah, and as I said in my opening statement, obviously, setting aside this incident, because this isn't the first one, there are issues of deconfliction that clearly need to be fleshed out and improved.
So how can the U.S. continue to send aid to Israel without any conditions? Yes, they have a right
We're
to...
not sending aid to Israel. We're sending aid into Gaza, and that's...
How can the U.S. continue to send military aid
military
to
assistance
Israel without any conditions? Is there no red line that can be crossed?
we've had this discussion, you and me, quite a bit from up here.
Yeah, almost every day they talk about that. Every time he comes out here, she says all that shit over and over and over again.
The 7th of October doesn't happen again. That doesn't mean that it's a free pass.
She's such a pretty little anti-Semitic jihadist.
And haven't since the beginning.
What a pretty little jihadi. Oh, she just wants a little bit of worldwide intifada, guys. Just a little bit of jihad.
Increase the amount of humanitarian assistance that gets in.
Just a little bit.
What?
I
haven't been asked about it yet, but I expect
the poor downtrodden Palestinians, guys.
That would be. There was a discussion just yesterday with our Israeli counterparts about.
Don't they deserve a little bit of jihad?
We expect there'll be an in-person meeting.
Just a little genocide, right? It's only a genocide when Jews do it to the Palestinians, but when the role is reversed, they're just little freedom fighters. They're just trying to wipe out their oppressors, right?
But the whole reason to have that meeting was to talk about our concerns over a major ground operation in Rafah and to present viable alternatives for them to be more precise and more targeted. So the idea that we're some plastic graveyard here and we're not paying attention to the civilian casualties or the civilian suffering is just not true.
These are verbal urgings, verbal commitments. There's no other incentive besides the urging.
I know you want us to hang some sort of condition over their neck, and what I'm telling you is that we continue to work with the Israelis to make sure that they are as precise as they can be, and that more aid's getting in, and we're going to continue to take that approach.
John, I just wanted to follow up. Do you guys have confirmation of the nationalities of the victims who were killed in the strike, and that one was a U.S. Canadian national?
I can confirm that one was a dual national American citizen. But I
that's not good.
Authority about the nationalities of all of them.
That's not good at all.
I mean, there could be additional casualties coming in terms of the count. I just don't.
There's more. Okay. When he says there could be more coming, he kind of spilled the beans there a little bit.
To the family of that dual national citizen from the White House?
The State Department has done some initial outreach.
Because Trump's a racist.
The outreach from us.
The only reason why Trump would put murderous drug dealer assassins in prison is because of racism, guys. You know that, right? You know that that's the case here, right?
At the appropriate time.
Thanks, Admiral. Does the White House accept Prime Minister Netanyahu's explanation that this incident was unintentional, as he put it?
I think the investigation will bear that out.
So do you think that given these circumstances, is there a role for some kind of a protective force for aid workers given the threat of widespread famine and concerns about you've already discussed the J-lock coming in and so forth. Is there a role that could be considered to try to protect aid workers with a neutral party security force?
That protective force ought to be the
Hey, they got a new sign language tranny. That's cool.
As they conduct operations in an urban, highly populated environment, they have a concomitant obligation to take care of the civilians that are living there, and the civilians, quite frankly, that are being moved about by the combat operations that are being conducted in a very confined space. They have that obligation.
Are you concerned that aid will be cut off for some period of time now because Jose Andres has said they're suspending operations for a period? The World Food Program is having difficulties. It seems like this incident is exacerbating the crisis.
It's certainly...
Yeah, that kind of touches on what we just talked about. Like, is this an accident, or is this part of Israel's plan, right, in order to more efficiently deal with the Palestinians, right? Are they purposely killing these workers to discourage other aid workers from doing business in the country? It's an interesting way to look at it, and it makes sense from a strategic point of view, maybe to do those kind of things, right? If your goal is extermination, right? Well, then that's what you would do, right?
Isn't helping. There's no question about that. And we obviously respect Chef Andres' decision not to continue operations, at least for a time. Certainly we respect that. And others may make...
Hey, what's up, Ronnie?
Talked about the World Food Program. We're not seeing a wholesale declination here of humanitarian assistance in there, but obviously
never surrender, buddy.
The more violent it gets for humanitarian aid workers, and as I said, this is one of the worst in recent history, the less likely it is that they're going to be willing to take those risks, which means it's more likely that the people of Gaza are going to just suffer all the more. So yes, it's a concern.
Thank you, Karine.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's kind of what everyone's trying to say right now, and I think Kirby kind of confirmed there that, yes, the fact that Israel is harming aid workers is definitely discouraging aid workers from coming into the country. So, whether it's on purpose or by accident, the total effect is a net gain for Israel, right? Does that make sense?
Secretary Blinken, during his
Hey, what's up, Lazo?
Did not condemn the airstrike, even though, as you confirmed, there was a dual American-Canadian citizen who was killed. The French foreign minister, who was at the same presser, did. You said you're outraged. Why is the U.S. not condemning the strike?
I think by saying we're outraged, I think you can fairly characterize that as condemning the strike itself. Of course. I mean, nobody wants to see this kind of violence happen to humanitarian aid workers who, as was noted earlier, were doing all the right things.
And just to follow up to...
Yeah, they were just, giving aid to terrorists.
About the floating pier.
That's the right thing to do, guys. You've got to aid the jihadis.
I mean, just trying to figure out how...
Well, by definition, it's going to be operating off the coast.
Sure, but like further away, I mean, how do you ensure that any private partners that the U.S. ends up partnering with to deliver aid is actually protected, given the recent set of strikes?
Right, that's what I said we're working on right now. I mean, force protection for the troops and the people that are going to be operating the pier is obviously going to be a paramount concern, but it's only as good as the aid that gets to the pier and then gets into Gaza. So there's going to have to be plans made, plans with partners to do everything that we can to ensure that that aid is safely assembled and collected at the pier and then safely distributed into Gaza. It's going to be a multi-step process. We'll be responsible for some parts of that, but not all of it. That's going to take some teamwork, and we're working our way through that right now.
I just have a quick clarification on something that the Secretary said again in Paris. He appeared to suggest that Iran delivered missiles to Russia and that those are being used by Moscow to target the Ukrainians. I mean, can you confirm if that was the case, not just drone missiles, but ballistic missiles? And if yes, since when has this transfer been underway?
I am not aware of specific verification that we can give to Iranian missiles being delivered to Russia for use in Ukraine. They certainly continue to deliver drones and actually helping the Russians manufacture.
Yeah, well, not anymore. Turns out, guys, this morning, here, let's just go to that. Because this is a good place to just kind of bump this in. Where's my mouse? Oh, there it is. All right. Putin war factory was destroyed as entire building burst into fireball after Ukraine attack. Footage shows one of Vladimir Putin's war factories erupting into flames after a suspected Ukrainian drone exploded. A fireball burst as an unmanned aerial vehicle hit the plant in Yelabuga, Russia. It's believed that the plant was where Iranian killer drones were being assembled. 3 strikes were reported, which left several people wounded. So thankfully nobody was killed. It's not clear whether the attack was carried out by a piloted small plane on a suicide mission or whether the aircraft was flying on autopilot. What? So, either, according to this, okay, so first it said a UAV blew up the plant, but here it says it's not clear whether the attack was carried out by a piloted small plane. So they 9/11'd it, right? Or the aircraft was flying on autopilot. So it wasn't like a UAV drone. It was like a motherfucking airplane. They flew an airplane into the drone building, right? Right? That's crazy. It was an A-22. What is an A-22, guys? Does anybody know? I'm going to look it up. A-22. Come on, search. Okay. No. Not a phone. A plane. How about a plane? Come on, search. Okay, it's the Aeropract A-22 Foxbat is a Ukrainian 2-seat high-wing tricycle landing gear ultralight aircraft that was designed by Yuri Yakovlev and is manufactured by Aeropract. Okay, so it's an ultralight aircraft. So it's propelled, right? It's not a glider, but it's a death trap, basically. So it was probably a ultralight aircraft full of explosives. My guess is what it was. Okay, well, where am I? There I am. Yeah. So it's not clear whether it was piloted or guided, even though the first line said it was an unmanned drone. It wasn't an unmanned drone. It was a goddamn fucking light aircraft, ultralight aircraft.
Iranian-designed drones. And we do know that the Russians are and have been using now for quite some time ballistic missiles that they have gotten from North Korea. But I'm not personally aware of any verification that Iranian missiles have been transferred and used.
Thank you, Karine. Admiral, you said that there's going to be an investigation into the World Central Kitchen strike, and you're reserving the U.S.'s judgment until that's completed. But what's a reasonable time frame for that investigation to be concluded, and how regularly will the U.S. be getting updates on it?
I think, in terms of time frame,
yeah, flying lawnmower.
We believe an investigation can be thoroughly conducted in a swift manner. Now, what is swift? I think obviously we're not going to dictate a date on the calendar to the Israelis, but it's noteworthy that just before coming out here, I was informed that they have completed a preliminary investigation and are reporting that up the chain of command. That's good. That means that they've gotten some basic findings and some initial conclusions that they're willing to make. They have noted publicly that they were responsible here. So that's another reason to suspect that it shouldn't need to be a long, drawn-out, weeks-long investigation. I think something like this could probably be resolved in a matter of days.
On the strike in Damascus, does the U.S. expect Iran to retaliate, and if so, how?
Well, I can't predict what the Supreme Leader and what the IRGC will decide to do or not. I don't know in terms of retaliation. I assume you mean against the United States. Let me make it clear. We had nothing to do with what the strike in Damascus. We weren't involved in any way whatsoever. So the comments by the Iranian foreign
Methinks thou protest too much.
minister that somehow we're to be held to account or that we're to blame is just nonsense. We had nothing to do with it. We will, as we always have, take our force protection very seriously to protect our troops and our facilities in Iraq and Syria. And as we have demonstrated in the past, as President Biden has made very, very clear through the actions he has ordered, we will do what we need to do to protect those troops and facilities.
And finally, if I may, just on China, you said that the two leaders made a commitment to pick up the phone and call each other when needed. I'm curious.
When's the next one?
No, I'm curious why it was needed now. Why not next week, next month? Was there a particular catalyst that they needed to have this phone?
No, not at all. I mean, they met again in November, and the teams have been working a lot since November on fentanyl precursors, on climate change, on economic practices. So there's been, on artificial intelligence, there's been a lot of staff level work, and both presidents thought that now, a few months later, this was a good time to kind of check in with one another, see how that's going, discuss the future.
Hi, thanks, John. Just wanted to follow up with a question that came from the front row about the conditions on military aid. And you said that the questioner wanted you to hang some conditions over their necks. That's the
We're back. Hey, all right. Sorry about that, guys. It's raining. No, it's raining here, Salty Gamer. Why? Is the eclipse today? I thought it was, like the 12th or something. I'll have to look that up. All right, we're back. Yeah, so what I was saying is, out of one side of their mouth, they talk about doing everything they can to support Gaza. And out of the other side of their mouth, everything that they can to support Israel. Well, yeah, it's the 8th. Okay, thank you, fandom. But if you're doing everything you can to support Israel, the best thing you can do is not support Gaza, right? And if you're doing everything you can to support Gaza, the first thing you should do is stop sending bombs to Israel, right? You can't do both, right? These are they are complementary. They are mere polar opposites, right? They're binary, right? You can't be non-Israel binary, right? So I don't know. I just think that
present on February 8th.
They're being disingenuous, right? We're gonna do everything we can for Gaza. Well, no, you're not. if you're doing everything you could for Gaza, you would stop funding Israel, right? And then you can't say you're doing everything for Israel if you're still funding Gaza, right? We can't do both at the same time. My mic is messed up. It might be the rain. Does it sound like static? If it does, it's the rain. Yeah, tornado alley.
Issued a memo, and it said, and you already know this, but just for context, it said that it was the policy of this administration to prevent arms transfers that risk facilitating or otherwise contributing to violations of human rights or international humanitarian law. Is firing a missile at people delivering food and killing them not a violation of international?
Oh, my mic, there's gain? I'm not.
Have already admitted that
I'm just flashing red. I'm not. Oh, no. You're right. Let me bring it down just a little bit. How about that? That should be better.
Question presumes that it was a deliberate strike, that they knew exactly what they were hitting, that they were hitting aid workers and did it on purpose, and there's no evidence of that. I would also remind you, sir, that we continue to look at incidents as they occur. The State Department.
Okay, everything should be much more balanced and sound better
now. You and I
now.
are speaking, they have not found any incidents.
Sorry about that.
Where the Israelis have violated international humanitarian law. Unless you think we don't take it seriously, I can assure you that we do. We look at this in real time.
They have never violated international humanitarian law ever in the past 5 to 6 months.
I'm telling you, the State Department has looked at incidents in the past and has yet to determine that
The White House terrible audio is on them.
Go ahead, Nadia.
Mr. Kirby, Israel has killed a senior Hamas leader in Beirut with precision.
Remember, guys, the sexuality of the engineer is far more important than his skill to keep the mic levels balanced, right?
Weapons in an area where thousands.
Like you see, it only takes like a second. I was able to get everything fixed.
Iranian officials in Damascus in the heart.
But apparently, these White House people can't do that.
There were thousands of civilians there as well.
Right? Like, their conditions never change. My conditions change all the time inside the van. Theirs never change, right? So, they could just set everything up perfectly one time, right? And it would always sound perfect, right? I bet you in Finland, when they do press conferences, right? The press and the speaker are both the same volume level, right? I bet you that shit is on point. Their audio sounds crisp as fuck. Because after they're done, they're going to have a death metal concert there.
That a vehicle marked with word Central Kitchen, after coordinating with the Israelis, that they didn't see it, and doesn't this debunk?
I know sound is racist.
Of Israel, that it is difficult for
audio engineering is just a tool of white supremacy,
where they can go after Hamas
used to silence people of color
in Beirut and in Damascus.
To your second question, no, it's not my theory. I have talked about. Well, just hang on, just a second.
Just hang on. Let me make some shit up.
Fighting in an urban, highly populated, condensed environment like that's tough. But they have taken strikes against Hamas leaders successfully taken strikes against Hamas leaders in Gaza. I can't speak to what happened in Damascus. That I can only tell you that the United States wasn't involved. So I'm not going to talk about the details of that whatsoever. I'm telling you that they have taken precise strikes against Hamas in Gaza. They have also taken strikes that have been not precise. It looks as if very clearly what happened yesterday is one of those examples. They'll investigate that, and our expectation is, and we've made this clear to them, that they'll come clean about what they've learned. They'll be fully transparent, and if people need to be held accountable, that they'll be held accountable.
Go ahead.
Thank you. John, there's another case of somebody who was in this country illegally, allegedly murdering a young woman, this time in Michigan. Her name was Ruby Garcia. Donald Trump is out there now calling this Biden's border.
Hold on, let's rewind this real quick.
Ruby Garcia illegally. Thank you. John, there's another case of somebody who was in this country illegally, allegedly murdering a young woman, this time in Michigan. Her name was Ruby Garcia. Donald Trump is out there now calling this Biden's border bloodbath. What do you call it?
Oh, I bet none of the media will cover Trump using the term bloodbath now. Wait a fucking, that is, oh my God. He just keeps winning. Donald Trump just keeps winning. Let's hear that again.
Allegedly murdering a young woman, this time in Michigan. Her name was Ruby Garcia. Donald Trump is out there now calling this Biden's border bloodbath. What do you call it?
Biden's border bloodbath. That is great alliteration. And way to fucking own the libs, dude, because you see what he's doing, right? Right? So, Trump, because remember how they all flipped out about him saying the word bloodbath, right? So now he's flipped it to literally mean the streets are flowing with blood, right? And I bet you nobody will cover it. No one will cover that use of the term bloodbath, but they will take him out of context. Yes, exactly, and they will. It sounds really good. Biden's border bloodbath. It's poetic. That's great alliteration.
Well, first of all, while I'm not aware of the specifics of this case, I mean, that's just terrible.
I'm not aware of it, so it never happened, so I don't have to talk about it, okay?
News. And our thoughts and prayers obviously go to the family of Ms. Garcia. I mean, that's the kind of news no family ever wants to get, ever. And we would certainly defer to local law enforcement and investigative bodies to do the spade work that needs to be done to figure out exactly what happened to Ruby. And to hold the perpetrators accountable for that. So why don't we let the judicial process play out here before we start making grandiose bumper sticker comments that says about the border. And Peter, to folks that are concerned about border security, the president will be the first one to stand up here and say,
the man is a master.
The border does need some security capabilities. That we do need.
Yeah, we need security at the border, and by border security, we mean more immigration judges so that we can oh, God, no. Come on. Are we stabilizing? I'm not dropping frames. It's just a little shaky. Okay, it's good now. Yeah. So by border security, what we need is more immigration judges to process illegals through and get them back admitted into the U.S., right? And get them their green cards, right? And by defending the border, what we mean is we need thousands of more agents to quickly round up the people as soon as they cross the border, so that it's not on the news, these mile-long fucking columns of migrants coming into the country, right? We want to make sure the optics look good. That's what we mean by border security, is making it look like there's nothing bad going on.
Border Patrol agents. And all that has to happen is for the speaker to do his job, put that supplemental on the floor, let's get a vote, let's get those 13...
We need more Border Patrol agents to do paperwork in order to get these illegals paroled and released into the country immediately. It's an election year, goddammit.
100 additional Border Patrol agents down there to do their jobs.
But everybody in this room knows that the bill that you guys keep talking about as a solution is dead at the moment. And
says you. It doesn't need to be dead, does it?
The bill's dead.
Well, it doesn't need to be. Well, it does. Well, guys, did you know that there's millions of people starving in Africa? Yeah, but they don't need to be starving. Hey, did you guys know that there's thousands of fucking Gazans dying in Palestine or whatever, in Gaza? Oh, yeah, but they don't need to die. See, that's the solution, guys. That's the solution. Yeah, it doesn't need to be that way, though, does it? No, it doesn't need to be that way, but apparently it is, right? So let's not talk about right? These guys always... Guys, we're always just 1 inch away from a utopia. Does it need to be like that? Oh, can't we just solve it by doing nothing?
Says you.
When's the vote?
You asked Speaker Johnson that. It doesn't need to be.
There are real problems at the border while that bill just languishes, right? The chief of the Border Patrol is saying,
I don't know if he can do mass amnesty. I don't know if he has the power to do that.
To our country, and we don't know what their intent is. That is a threat.
I would have to look into that.
The president absolutely believes that along that border we do have significant national security concerns that have to be met. But you said something really good in your question that I loved, that while these concerns are going on, the bill languishes. So what's needed? It's not anything more
he didn't
from
say
the president.
That.
What's needed is
what he said was there's no chance of this bill passing. Not that it's languishing because Donald Trump or whatever you're about to say.
For Speaker Johnson to do his job, get that thing on the floor. Let's get it voted on.
as
They
the
had a
person-
chance and decided not to act because certain people in House Republican world wanted a problem rather than a solution.
As the person in charge of preventing a terrorist attack in the homeland, does President Biden think that some of these border crossers could be in the United States right now plotting a terrorist attack
The
against
president's
America?
confident that
Many.
Throughout the interagency.
China recently warned that if we didn't watch our step in the fucking China Sea, well, there just might be mass shootings in our country.
DHS, intelligence community, that we're doing everything we can to be as vigilant as we can to ensure the safety and security of the American people here at home.
John, the President-in-Chief, did the two leaders speak about Section 301 tariffs? And
It did not come up.
It did not come up. But if you could just speak more about the economic nature of the conversation, did they speak about competition in specific industries like semiconductors?
Yes, they did talk about economic competition between our two countries, and as I said in my opening statement, the President made clear that we have significant differences of opinion and concerns over some unfair market practices that the PRC uses that puts American workers and families at a disadvantage. He was very clear about that.
And just to follow up on Nancy's question, are we clear to understand that the President did not warn President Xi about election interference? It felt like that was what you were implying. There was no new message.
It was no new message today delivered on that.
Thank you. Thank you. So you said earlier that more than 280 aid workers died since the start of the war. Could you tell us what the time frame is for that?
Since the start of the war in October.
7.
Yes, the president can grant mass amnesty. He can do it through executive order, guys. That is actually something he could just do. It would be completely legal under the way that I am seeing here what other people are. I have not researched this myself, but I'm just reading what other people say. Yeah, I mentioned it. We're going to look at it. We're going to look at it, guys.
7th. Okay.
I don't have a TikTok for you on everything. That's our estimate here.
My gut instinct on just the tiny little bit I read about it is that the school shooting was it wasn't a random shooting. The kid showed up with a purpose to shoot that person. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's true, but just like the small little blurb I read about it leads me to believe that. I haven't read the story.
Over the course of these many months.
Has the president reached out to any other head of, a humanitarian organization before today?
I learned some shocking stuff by looking at that Finland shooting too. So I think it's going to be very interesting for everyone to watch that after this.
I'll take the question. I don't know.
We gotta wrap it up.
Thank you, John. You described the strike as a possible mistake by Israel. According to Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, it wasn't one strike, but 3. The first one, then an interval during which aid workers got out of their vehicles, removed the wounded, tried to move to another vehicle which was struck, and then a third strike as they tried to move and escape in a third vehicle, at which point all of them were dead. How would the second and third strikes of these marked vehicles be a mistake? And why would the
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm always out here shilling for Israel, but I gotta say, guys, I'm gonna agree with this guy. It's very hard for them to say, oh, this was an accident. And even if it was an accident, right, it still benefits Israel immensely. So, it looks bad.
Not more forcefully set conditions on the use of U.S.-made weaponry when it is being used to target aid workers. If the first...
But these things do happen. These things do happen. If you guys remember, in Afghanistan, when we pulled out, there was that incident at Abbey Gate where the 11 Marines were killed, right? Semper Fi. And after that, the U.S. retaliated on what it believed to be jihadi terrorists, right? Those elusive, dangerous, and definitely real ISIS-K members, right? And instead of killing ISIS, we killed U.S. aid workers in Afghanistan. Not only just the worker, but his whole entire family, too. So, these kinds of things do happen, right? I'm just saying. I'm not trying to justify what happened in Israel. I am trying to say, I'm trying to be objective here, right?
First one was a mistake. The second two were targeted with the intent of killing everyone in that convoy. So how do you respond to that?
First of all, there's an investigation going on. So why don't we let it get done? And why?
Or maybe aid workers shouldn't travel in jihadi convoys. Maybe. Maybe that's the solution. Who am I to say, guys? I'm just a cartoon. I'm not even real. And I'm made out of zeros and ones.
Why don't we see what they find in terms of the decision-making process that led to this terrible outcome? Prime Minister and the IDF have noted...
Hey, thank you, girl. Error. Thanks for coming by.
Word mistake, their error. They're investigating it. Let them do that work and let them see what they come up with, and then we'll go from there.
And, sorry, one more, John. 2 years ago, the IDF killed an Al Jazeera journalist. They said that was...
And 20 years ago, this guy killed that guy. And 50 years ago, some other guy killed some guy.
Released the findings of their investigation, which found that they were at fault. Go on.
But my question, sir, is... In that case, the Israelis did not initiate any criminal proceeding. In this case,
we're just going to skip past all this.
Admiral, this is the election year. Does the president feel political pressure to act tough on China?
Yes.
The president, as commander-in-chief,
he's going to pretend to do something. He's got to.
For protecting the national security interests of the United States.
The president will pretend to do something. Maybe he'll bomb Iraq just to show China who's boss.
Constructive, very professional, business-like.
I'm going to say that's what he's doing. He's going to continue to bomb Iraq.
Biden holds so seriously.
Is TikTok part of the conversation today?
TikTok came up today, yes.
Have you talked to previous Secretary Mnuchin about his plan to buy it without the algorithm, or do you accept this plan?
Have we talked to Mr. Mnuchin about his? No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, that he should speak to that as a private businessman.
More details about the conversation on TikTok.
The president reiterated our concerns about the ownership of TikTok. He made it clear to President Xi that
fuck it.
I know.
Free speech is free speech, right? The Chinese have free speech. If they want to use TikTok to do it, well, they don't have the right to steal people's data, though. But you agree to let them when you sign up. So, how's that any different from Twitter? I don't get it.
I know of no progress on that. As far as I know, legislation hasn't reached his desk, and it's still on Capitol Hill.
Thank you. John, I have a question on Ukraine and on Ramadan. So Ukrainian President Zelensky is warning about a new Russian offensive coming in the end of May or June. Meanwhile, Speaker Johnson is ignoring calls to put to the floor the Senate-approved legislation and coming up with a new Ukraine aid. Does the administration have a deadline?
You can't violate your principles in order to uphold your principles, is all I'm saying.
After which you might consider some measures to support Ukraine without conversion.
We've already executed some emergency measures. You saw the Pentagon was able to cobble together $300 million to support them in an emergency aid package. We're going to continue to look and see what more we can do, but quite frankly, our hands are very much tied here. We need the supplement.
Their hands are always tied.
That's
because they're all into that BDSM. Is that, did I say that? BD, whatever. They're all a bunch of perverts.
What will make a difference for Ukraine?
Is there a deadline after which you would try to do something more?
The deadline was weeks.
Hey, there's the
if not
other
months ago,
tranny.
when we needed the supplemental passed. The time is now. It's past now. The Ukrainian commanders on the ground are making difficult decisions.
She gets balder and balder every day, guys. There's your White House sign language tranny. Her hairline has receded an inch since she started signing.
About what positions they're going to hold, what weapons they're going to use. And in certain places of the Donbass, they are losing ground to the Russians. So it's way past time.
And on Ramadan, why the President Biden is not including Muslim community leaders in the iftar, and why is the event is not open press as has been in the previous years?
That's a great segue for me to turn it right over.
Thank you, Admiral.
Yes, ma'am.
Finally.
This question, please.
Oh, look, her dress matches her hair. Kind of. Almost. Well, I mean, guys, she's really not that fucking, that preoccupied with accuracy, right? Like, you shouldn't expect anything, like, perfect from her, right? That would be racist.
So, just a couple things on that question. Look, you saw the president put out a statement very early on last month about Ramadan, and obviously respecting the religion and respecting the event. I will say about tonight that the president's going to continue his tradition of honoring the Muslim community during Ramadan, and so President Biden will host a meeting with Muslim community leaders to discuss issues of importance to the community. So he is going to be meeting with Muslim leaders. To your question, he will be joined by the Vice President Harris, senior Muslim administration officials, and senior members of his national security team, and to continue the White House tradition of honoring Ramadan as he did just last month.
The White
after
we gotta honor Allah. The religion of peace, guys.
We'll host a small breaking of the fast, prayer, and iftar with a number of senior Muslim administration officials. So that is what the president and the vice president is going to be doing later today.
Why not the
I
community
know it
leaders?
is, Salty.
So look, want to be really clear here. So community leaders expressed the preference of doing a meeting, a working group meeting, if you will. They wanted to make sure that there was an opportunity to discuss the issues at hand. They thought it would be important to do that, and so we did that. We listened, we heard, and we adjusted the format to be responsive, and so that we can get feedback.
They're going to be
from them.
responsive
This is
with
a
the format.
request. This was actually a request from members of the community. This is what they wanted, and we understand that. They want the president, the vice president, and senior administration officials, obviously national security.
Why didn't Joe Biden celebrate Passover? Why doesn't, why are they making such an effort to promote Muslim ideology and totally ignore... Right, we gotta have a trans day of remembrance or whatever on fucking... on Easter, right? But, Christians can't have a holiday, but Muslim people, I guess we all gotta kneel and pray to Mecca and fucking beat our wives and shit. Gotta honor Muslim traditions, guys.
To hear directly from them, so this is going to be seen as a working group meeting, and we are the president, the vice president. We are looking forward to having that opportunity. Okay.
Thanks, Karine. We discussed earlier former President Trump.
She has such good
describing
skin,
the
I
situation
imagine
on
she
the
tastes
border
good.
as a bloodbath.
Probably tastes like cocoa butter.
On Friday, we're going to get jobs figures in past.
Probably smells like cocoa
have
butter,
shown
I
that
bet.
Immigrants are helping.
And that smells really good.
Is the view of this administration that the inflow of immigrants do more to strengthen the United States or hurt the United States? Does it do more?
So, Josh, I appreciate the question, and I think it's an important question as we're hearing clearly awful rhetoric from the other side. But what we know, what this president believes, and you've heard this president say this before, is that we know immigrants strengthen our country and our economy as well. It goes hand in hand here. Think about the critical work these 8 immigrants were doing on Key Bridge when it collapsed. While Congress failed to act on President Biden's
Jesus is
comprehensive
king is
immigration
going to be a
reform, remember
slur.
he introduced that on the first day of his administration because he understood the importance of fixing immigration, a system that had been broken, that has been broken for decades. His administration has led the largest.
They're like trying to make it illegal to, like the FBI and the Department of Justice and the spooks, right, have lists of like devout Christians on their terror watch list, right? Not because they're planning to do terrorism. It's just because they're devout Christians and they know as they install their tyranny, right, that these Christians are going to uprise, and so they're already watching them, right? The fact that they're watching these people is a dead giveaway that they're installing a tyranny.
Just expansion of lawful immigration pathways in decades, and we continue to work ensure employers and immigrants can effectively navigate the laws in place. And so reforming our immigration system only strengthens our economy. You hear the president talking about that, about making sure that we have an economy that works for everyone, making sure that there's dignity and respect for everyone. And by doing that, it boosts our labor supply, it helps solve workforce shortages, and some businesses are facing, right? That we see businesses are facing. And so we took a step forward not too long ago. We spent 2 months working with the Senate, working with Republicans and Democrats to try and figure out how do we deal with this broken system. We put together what would have been, if put into law, the toughest and fairest piece of legislation that we have seen in some time. But what we heard from the last administration, from President Trump, and you heard me say this over and over again.
Yeah, but just repeat a lie often enough doesn't mean that it's true, right?
And help the president.
Just because you repeat the lie doesn't make it any more true than it was the first time you said it,
system
bitch.
as an issue.
You can lie all you want, but you're still lying.
And that we should fix. We should get to the bottom of this. So we're going to continue to urge Congress, Republicans, to come back, right? Come back to the table, move forward with that proposal, get it out of the Senate, and then move it over to the House, get it out of the House, put it in front of the president. He will sign it. The toughest and fairest law that we have seen in some time. And this is not about politics.
Yes, since
by the Senate. I mean, that's where it
We're
is
back.
Held up. Has he conveyed those same concerns about ownership, about divestiture, like to Schumer?
So look, we are in regular communication. This administration is.
No, that's a good point. Actually, that's a good point, Salty. Okay. When we look at this DEI thing, what do we see? We see a bunch of people obviously unqualified, right, being put at the front in order to usher in a tyranny. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that, right, when you look at how Donald Trump is being persecuted by lawfare, right? Do you notice a similarity between all the people prosecuting Donald Trump unjustly, right? Do you notice any similarity between these people? I do. They're all minorities, right? And they are using minorities. They're using the shield of minorities against criticism, right? Because we got to support the minorities, because we have to give them they're good. Of course they're going to be bad at their job, right? Because they're underqualified. So we have to give them leeway to make mistakes, and you can't criticize them, right? But what they're really doing is using the cloak of diversity and equity and inclusion in order to push really bad legislation, really bad policies, really bad judicial prosecutions, right? And then shielding themselves from criticism by saying, "Oh, you're just a racist," right? That's actually happening, and we can see it, right? And so they didn't put her out here because she's black, right? They put her out here because she refuses to answer questions, right? Being black makes it so that you can't challenge her on that, right? Right? Because of course she's bad at her job. She's just a poor downtrodden minority, right? Right? Do you guys get what I'm trying to say? Do you guys get what I'm trying to say here? Right? They use, of course they're bad at their job, right? They're minorities, right? They're put here by DEI. That should be expected, right? And if you criticize that, you're a racist, right? Exactly, Salty. Exactly. Because the only reason they're bad at their job is because they're black, right? When we all know that's not true. That there are very capable black people running successful businesses and all kinds of things, right? There are mad, smart, capable, intelligent black people that are very good at their jobs. But we know that because we're not racist, right? But the left is, right? These are racists. Why do you think they do this, right? It's because half of them honestly believe, because they're racist, that black people can't get ahead by their own merit, right? Yeah.
Congress,
Get it?
including Senator Schumer, Leader Schumer, and others. And so
DEI equals didn't earn it. Yes.
To give you about the president's conversation on this particular issue.
Not all the time, right? I'm sure somewhere a fucking black person was chosen because of DEI who turned out to also be the best candidate, you know? Just because they were fucking affirmative actioned doesn't mean that they're still not qualified, right? But in this case it does, right? In this case it
As my colleague,
does.
as the Admiral said, the TikTok did come up and was raised on the call with President Xi. I think that's important. The president has always been very clear about his concerns, and he's been very public about that. There is a real threat posed by certain technology services, and so operating in the United States that put at risk Americans' personal information and broader national security. He's been very clear about that, including the manipulation. So he's been public about it. He brought it up with President Xi. This is an issue, certainly, that we will continue to have that discussion. I just don't have anything specific to read out to you with any conversations with members of Congress on the presidential.
Does he want the Senate Majority Leader to bring the bill to the floor?
We have said we support that bill. We welcome that bill.
My overall point is she's not bad at her job. She's doing a damn fine job of what she was hired to do, which was lie, which was obfuscate, which was not answer any questions and repeat our talking points without fail, without missing a beat, right? And she's very good at that, right? She's a terrible representative, right? But that's what they want, right? She's very good at that, right? And it makes her look like she's doing a bad job, right? But she's not, right? And then you say, well, you can't criticize her for doing a bad job because, you know, of course she does a bad job. She's a minority, right? But A, minorities can do great jobs, and B, she is doing a great job, right? Of being a terrible press secretary, which is exactly what she was hired to do, right? Right? Just like Letitia James is a terrible fucking DA, right? Right? But that's what she was hired. She was hired to be that terrible DA and to break the law in order to persecute a president of the United States, right? Right? She's actually great at her job, right? But not the job you hired her to do, the job that she was placed there to do, right?
We do not see it as a ban, right? We see it as a divestment. We've been very clear about that as well, and we welcome that bill. So we wanted to go through the process. We've been offering technical support, as you've heard us speak to before. You've heard the National Security Advisor speak to this very recently, the last time he was at the podium. You've heard me say that. And so we're going to continue to provide technical support. We're going to continue to have conversations with members of Congress. Don't have anything else to share behind that. Okay.
So during the call, did President talk to President Xi about supplying components to Russia to enhance their defense industrial base?
So look, we've always been very clear, and the President did raise that we are deeply concerned, obviously, about the PRC's support for Russia's war against Ukraine and its efforts to help Russia reconstitute its defense industrial base. That came up. I'm not going to go beyond that, but that did come up on the call.
Thanks, Karine. Is there anything you can say about President Xi Jinping's reaction to all of the concerns that Biden laid out?
I would let President Xi speak for himself. I'm not going to respond to him.
Any color about the tone of the conversation?
There's a readout of the call. I'm not going to get into reactions, personal reactions. I will let President Xi speak for himself.
And just lastly, the cost to attend a number of New England colleges this fall is topping more than $90,000 a year. What's the White House's
Damn! I've been very clear about how the cost.
Damn! I went 4 years for 80 grand, $90,000 a year. Holy shit!
Of college is crushing many families. We've talked about that. And that's why one of the things that the President has been very focused on is giving that student debt relief to many Americans and families out there. While we tried to put something forward, Republicans blocked it, and the President continued to find ways to move forward in trying to find really comprehensive measures to make sure that we're giving relief to Americans so that they can, so that they can start a family, so that they can buy a home. And so we've done that. You've seen us announce a bunch of actions which the President is proud of and is going to continue to find ways to give that relief. The Department of Education has talked about the cost of college and has certainly worked with students in figuring out ways for them to afford going to school. It's important. If someone wants to be able to go to college, they should be able to do that, and they should be able to afford to make that decision. Their family should be able to make that decision and not go into debt. And so the President has been very clear about that. He's talked about his own experience, and so. Look, we're going to continue to find ways to make sure that Americans get a little bit of breathing room, get a little bit of opportunity.
We're going to get a breathing room, guys. Thank God. Thank God. Go. Should I put it on the left or the right side of my van? Thanks, so Biden.
To move their lives forward, to reach their dreams the way that they choose, and so yeah, we're aware of how costly college can be. Okay, Karen.
Thanks. The owner of the ship involved in the Key Bridge collapse has denied responsibility for the accident, and they filed a federal lawsuit trying to limit the amount of damages that they would have to pay. What is the White House's reaction to that lawsuit, and is there going to be an effort to force them to pay more damages?
So look, I don't want to get ahead. As you know, there's an investigation currently happening. The Department of Transportation is leading, so want to be really mindful, not get ahead of that, and not going to talk.
Okay, we're done listening to this.
As you just announced.
I have other news anyway.
From the ship owner,
guys.
but look, I think it is important.
There's more news than this. All right, fuck this bitch. We're done. All right. We're going to go back to President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden on today. Because there's some creepy shit he says. Listen.
Here, so we have science projects, we have phys ed class, you can learn about the solar eclipse that's coming, we have a reading nook, we have dinosaurs, something for everybody. Because education just doesn't happen in the classroom.
And as this gets rolling, between now and about 7 o'clock, you'll have 50,000 kids rolling eggs. When you think back on this time so far, what are some of your favorite memories?
50,000 kids. Oh my God. There needs to be 100,000 parents there just to keep Joe Biden away from them.
Mr. President.
Well, my favorite memories are the little girl who's having trouble with her eggs. She looked at me, she's about 3 years old.
Biden's favorite memory is a little girl. Let's hear that.
Memories are the little girl
Your favorite rolling egg, favorite memories, Mr. President?
Well, my favorite memories are the little girl.
His favorite memories are the little girl. Guys, he's never been more true. I've never heard more true words come out of that man's mouth. His favorite memories are of a little girl. I know, right? Biden's a pervert, Michael.
I was having trouble with her egg. She looked at me. She's about 3 years old. Said, "Can you help me with the president?" Can you help me? So I gave her a push. That's my favorite one.
You know,
That's my favorite. Was that little girl?
78. This started with Rutherford B. Hayes. I think I met him, but you know, what is it?
A classmate of mine.
One of your classmates. What is so special about this egg roll?
Well, what's so special is just opening this is the people's house.
What the fuck was that?
Well, what's so special is just opening this is the people's house. Just opening this is the people's house. And we can expect over 40,000 people to be here.
There's never 40,000 people.
We just like to open it up the place and let people see this is their place. And it always makes me feel good to look out there and see.
Yeah, except for on January 6th. If you entered the Capitol building, you're fucking in jail, but it's your place, right? These people are sick, right? They're fucking hypocrites. They're liars. They're con artists. They're pedophiles.
Average Americans just walking around looking at what's going on because they own it. They own it.
So here we are. You're in what's probably your final campaign, and you know, and people are like saying,
the final months of your presidency.
I'm not so crazy about whatever I've got. What's your message to people about why they've got to engage and get out there to vote?
Well, I think people are going to surprise people again. They're going to engage. An overwhelming response when we're out on the road. Look.
Fact check false. There are more protesters than there are people listening to Joe Biden, right? In fact, Joe Biden has so many protesters, he has to restrict who is allowed into his events.
We have tens of thousands of people contributing $5-10 a pop. We've opened up
Michael Jackson's it's Neverland.
Waiting to just get engaged. I mean, I just think people are so tired of the negativity that is propagated that they just want to get engaged. They want to change things, and I'm optimistic. I really am.
When people are saying, you know, but Mr. President,
that's because your brain doesn't work, sir.
and I'm feeling, you know, my buck isn't going as far. What do you say to those folks about the economy and what's going on?
Well, I say we have the best economy in the world. We got to make it better.
Again, you say that because you're retarded, because your brain is made out of cream of wheat.
We really do have the best economy in the world. Jobs are up more than they've ever been. We're in a situation where
by a number that's so big I can't even make it up.
The lowest unemployment rate in 50 years is maintained. We have people look, I think we're going to find out that what happened as a consequence of the crisis we had in health is going to have a lasting effect. And we just got to get people to move again. We're ready. I mean, I think the country's ready to come together in a way that I mean that sincerely. I'm truly optimistic.
Yeah, and how are you feeling going into this last campaign?
Repeat yourself much? Yeah, ask Jill questions because at least she may not know how to say the words right, but at least we can understand what she's trying to say.
Oh, great. You know, I've been traveling across the country. People are ready to go, and we're going to win this.
And as far as, you know, your memories of this house, you know, I mean...
Joe Biden literally looks like Sling Blade right now. Look at him. I want to clip that. Hold on. That's going to be my new pictures of Joe Biden. Hold on. Hold on. We got to clip that out. Give me a nice little rectangle here. There we go. All right, that's going to be a thumbnail. All right, let's play.
We're assuming, I don't know what the future holds, but what are your favorite memories about this place?
Joe knows what the future holds.
Our grandkids, when they're down here, just sneaking up and jumping in bed with us. That's my favorite memory here.
His favorite memory is his grandkids in bed with him. Guys, you can't make this up. The man, all he thinks about is little kids. Oh my God. Oh my God, this is so perverted. This is so perverted, guys.
Your favorite memories about this place?
Our kids jumping in bed with us. Our grand.
Oh my God, I couldn't even write a skit this fucking funny. Did you believe this guy? His favorite memories of Easter are little girls, and his favorite memories of the White House are being in bed with little kids.
Grandkids, when they're down here, just sneaking up and jumping in bed with us. That's my favorite memory here. They love it. They love wandering through the halls. There's 2 floors upstairs, a lot of bedrooms. It's private residence.
Oh my God! Lots of places I can take them kids and do my business with them. Me and P. Diddy. There's a lot of bedrooms upstairs, guys, for me and these kids. Oh my God.
And they just love coming down.
Well, thank you for opening up the house for the Easter egg rolls.
This is your house, pal.
All right.
That's just a loaner for me.
I'm going to stop by the kitchen.
All right. You got to do that. They have great cooks.
By the way, I'm going to Ben's Chili Bowl after this. If you'd like to join me for a half smoke.
Be careful.
Yeah?
Be careful. Like a poor relative. I show up when I'm invited.
All right. Come on down. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show.
That's true. When you are that old, everyone is a kid. You are correct.
On our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to Today.
All right, now, speaking of the Bidens. Oh, no, wait, we read this one already. Judge denies all 8 of Hunter Biden's motions to dismiss his tax indictments. A judge late Monday denied all 8 of Hunter Biden's motions to dismiss his 9-count tax indictment in California, paving the way for a June 20th trial. Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, had sought dismissal of the case earlier this year, arguing in part that prosecutors succumbed to political pressure in filing charges that an ill-fated immunity agreement struck with the prosecutors last summer remained in effect, and that the charges were brought in an improper venue. In an 82-page ruling posted to the case docket late Monday, Judge Mark Scarsi denied all 8 motions. So Hunter Biden's going to jail. We strongly disagree with the court's decision and will continue to vigorously pursue Mr. Biden's challenges to the abnormal way the special counsel handled this investigation. Yeah, you mean he prosecuted the son of a president while that president was still in office? Yes, that is very abnormal. But not many presidents' sons can be found on the internet in self-filmed videos buying 2-gram 8 balls of crack for $150 from a hooker. I'm just saying. There is some distinction. I think that he's going to wait until his last day in office to do that, I think. Holy. That's what they always do. Now, Weiss's office charged Hunter in December with 9 felony and misdemeanor charges stemming from his failure to pay $1.4 million in taxes for 3 years during a time he was in the throes of addiction. Well, there's a lot. Guys, if you're a junkie, you can just get off scot-free. right? I mean, think about all the people that were high on drugs and went out and killed somebody to get more money, right? Well, they were in the throes of addiction too, and therefore they shouldn't be held accountable, right? Right? We should just open up the prisons, right? Right? The federal judge overseeing this case will hold a hearing on these arguments later this month. Yeah, so, fuck Hunter Biden, right? Now, am I a little jealous? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I am. But, that doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve everything that's coming to him and more. I know. But, I mean, shit. Hunter bought it, right? If you buy it as an 8-ball, a 2-gram 8-ball is an 8-ball, right? If you agree, then that's your 8-ball. Yeah, but we got plenty of money for Ukraine, guys, but, yeah, we don't have any money for Social Security. What's going on? Tens of millions of AT&T customers have had their personal data leaked online after a data breach. The telecommunications giant said on March 30th that personal details, including social security numbers, email addresses, phone numbers, and birth dates from a data set were found on the dark web. About 7.6 million people were affected. So 7.6 million AT&T customers had all their personal information leaked online, and you can buy that information now on the dark web using what's that called? The Onion router. So go do that. Go do your onion routering. It is Joe's crimes that matter, but you know, you got to take them where you get them. All right, thanks, blind dude. Now, a 12-year-old student opens fire at a school in Finland, killing one and wounding 2 others. Helsinki, a 12-year-old student opened fire at a secondary school in southern Finland on Tuesday morning, killing 1 and seriously wounding 2 other students, police say. The suspect was later apprehended. Heavily armed police officers cordoned off the Virtola School, a large educational institution, including lower and upper secondary schools, with a total of about 800 students. Wow, that's a very small school in America. 800 kids is nothing. Heavily armed police. Police said both the suspect and the victims were 12-year-olds. One of the students died instantly after being shot. The weapon was detained. Who cares? Finnish President Alexander Stubb and Prime Minister Petteri Orpo offered condolences to the families of the victims in postings on X. In the Nordic nation of 5.6 million, there are more than 1.5 million licensed firearms and about 430,000 license holders. So each gun owner owns approximately 3 guns. Not only that, roughly 20% of the population of Finland is armed right now. Or no, I'm sorry about that. Roughly 2%. No. Roughly, we're going to say 4% of people in Finland own guns, and they own about 3 guns per person, right? Now, this got me thinking, well, how often are there mass shootings in Finland? Like, what's going on here, right? So first, I wanted to see, what are mass shooting, like what are the statistics here? And what we see is that way at the top, you have almost 2 mass shooting fatalities per 1 million people, okay, in Norway, right? So Norway, every 4th has a gun. Yeah, that's my take on it too, Uzi, is that this was a kid that showed up to kill a specific person for a specific reason. That's what it looks like to me. Right? Now, right? You have, at the top, you have Norway, Serbia, France, right? In the middle, you have Switzerland, then you have Finland, and then way down at the bottom, you have the United States, right? So actually, contrary to what they tell you, the United States is one of the least violent places, right? Yeah, we have a lot of shootings. That's because we have a lot of people. But compared to other, European-style nations, right? Compared to other predominantly white nations, right? We're one of the least violent people on the planet, right? Right? In fact, the most violent is Norway, right? And that got me to thinking. Well, how easy is it to get a gun in Norway, right? It's got to be really easy to get guns in Norway, right? They got to be like no laws or anything, right? Wrong. That would be wrong. We're like the safest, exactly, right? Hold on. Norway has some of the strictest gun control laws around today. Some of the strictest gun control rules in the world in Norway. Yet, hold on, you gotta hear this. You're more likely to be a victim of a mass shooting in Norway. Well, that's crazy. Isn't that crazy? Wait. So, what about France, right? France is 3rd most deadly country, right? Let's look at that. Right? It must be really easy to get guns in France. France has very strict gun laws, but illegal weapons are widespread. Oh, so you mean guns don't stop laws don't stop criminals? Fascinating, right? Fascinating. It's crazy that the more strict your gun laws are, the less safe the people are within your country. Now, wait. Where's the other one? Where's my Finland data? Well, I don't have it. But no, Finland has less strict gun laws, right? You still have to be deemed fit to own a gun in Finland, right? Like, not anybody can get a gun. They still have, like, background checks and criteria you have to meet. But it's much easier in Finland to get a gun than it is in the EU, for instance, right? Yet, Finland is way down here, right? Closer to where we are, right? Right? They're only just a little tiny bit off from where we are, right? Oh, you guys can't see. Hold up. There you go. So Finland is more safe than France, where it's harder to get guns, and France is more safe than Norway, where it's damn near impossible to get a gun, right? Right? And America, where it's quite easy to get a gun, legally and illegally, right, is one of the safest places to be. So, it's almost like gun laws, right, the more you restrict people's freedom to own a weapon, well, right, there's a point, right? If you let anyone get a gun, criminals and shit, well then I'm sure that crime rates will go up and that mass shootings will go up, right? But if once you like keep guns out of the hands of criminals and crazy people, right? Like that should be the limits, right? Because the more you restrict guns, the more you have criminals being capable of murdering large groups of people. And the reason for that is that they know that no one else has a gun. That there's nothing anyone can do about it, right? Yeah, they also have gun education in Finland. That's correct, yes. You guys are very responsible. And that's why nobody fucks around and finds out in Finland, right? Right? Because in Norway, you can fuck around and never find out, right? Because no one has guns, right? Right? But in the United States, you fuck around, you can find out real quick, right? The United States, we have good guys with a gun, right? They're not cops. They're just regular Joes on their way to work. And some guy fucking pulls out a gun and tries to rob a convenience store, and that guy pulls out his gun and ends that guy's reign of crime, right? Well, yeah, that's all open for debate, harlot, right? But we can say in general, right? If, like murderers and fucking bank robbers and shit, it's better to have laws that stop them from getting guns, right? Like, who else, that's all open to debate. But we all agree that pedophiles and rapists and murderers shouldn't be allowed to have guns, right? How far it goes is another thing, right? But we all agree that if you have schizophrenia, you shouldn't get a gun, right? I hope we all do anyway. Right? That's all I'm saying. Yes, you can go too far. Just with anything, you can always go too far, right? But that's what I wanted to say about it, right? Is that the more restrictive you are with guns, the more likely you are to face a mass casualty event. Now, Philippines is preparing for the worst case scenario in the South China Sea. The Philippines said its Navy was preparing for the worst case scenario in the South China Sea to counter China amid growing military tensions in the disputed waters. A top official tasked with strengthening maritime security in the West Philippine Sea said troops on the East Coast were studying all options. However, the government of Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has been advised to keep the focus on diplomacy. We are ready for what they are going to do. The troops stationed at Sierra Madre are prepared for the worst case scenario. Vice Admiral Carlos said, "We are studying all options. It's unacceptable if we are going to stop the resupply missions." The BRP Sierra Madre, we already know about it. If you guys don't know, there's a boat out on some island that's not even an island. It's not even above water. It's just inches below the water. And so they parked a boat on that island, and they're calling it a military outpost, right? And China is blocking their ability to resupply that outpost, right? They're like, and when I say blocking, they're like ramming ships. They're shooting seamen. They're shooting seamen. They're shooting the Navy officers with water cannons, injuring and harming them severely in one case, right? And and blockading the Philippines in order so that they can't resupply this island. That way that they'll have to leave it and then China can take it over. Okay? Yes, they have. Fuck the Chinese. That's what they want to do to this island too, is they want to build it up and put military bases on it. Right? President Marcos has ordered his government to strengthen the country's coordination on maritime security to confront a range of serious challenges to territorial integrity and place, according to a copy of the directive released on Sunday. Tensions have ratcheted up between the Philippines and China after their armies were involved in a series of run-ins in the past year, with the latest incidents of clashes resulting in injuries to Coast Guards. Analysts have raised an alarm over the military posturing, urging for diplomatic negotiations to prevent the situation from escalating into an open conflict. The latest flare-up happened on the 23rd of March when 3 Filipino Navy sailors were injured after Chinese Coast Guard personnel used a water cannon. They also kept ramming their ship, too. It was allegedly to disrupt a Philippines resupply mission to the Second Thomas Shoal for soldiers guarding the Sierra Madre. China has been accused of blocking resupply missions to those troops amid deepening military ties between the U.S. and the Philippines. Yeah, we have a mutual defense pact with the Philippines. If China attacks the Philippines, we attack China. Well, I mean, that's what would happen if we had a real president. If we had a real president, right? If we had a real president, this wouldn't even be happening, right? But since we have Joe Biden, this is what you get. Now, remember, we have 9 military bases in the Philippines. Okay, listen to this. This is interesting and something you probably won't hear. Nearly 600,000 migrants who crossed the border since March, who jumped the border, were released into the U.S. with no immigration court dates. Migrants must apply for asylum in court, but many are now in legal limbo without court dates and charging documents, unaware they're passing their 1-year deadline to apply. Nearly 600,000 migrants who across the border since March 21, have been released into the U.S. without being charged or given a date to appear in court. Well, gee, I wonder what's going to happen to them. I've seen pro-commie Philippine posters in my town lately. Are you in the Philippines, Sonic Boy? Yes, we own the Philippines. That's ours. Whatever the Chinese build all crumbles in 5 years anyway. Oh, these are the Chinese islands? I think we've all seen these before, Uzi. I think everyone's already seen all the Chinese islands, guys, right? We've all seen these. We all know they're there. Oh, they had to do it. The practice of not charging migrants was born out of necessity, guys, as border crossing numbers soared past previous records. Was a break from the protocol of prior administrations, which required migrants to be given charging documents with a court date by Customs and Border Patrol. The lack of charging documents has left migrants across the country in illegal limbo. Yeah, and I bet you that limbo ends with amnesty. Now, because it wasn't their fault, guys. Now, this is what I want. 8 migrant squatters busted in New York City basement with guns and drugs. And we're not, all I'm saying is they're not sending their best, right? A lot of them are good people, but mixed in amongst the good ones are these people. Drug dealing, murderer, assassins that were sent here by the cartels. I'm not saying that's what these people are, but I'm saying that's what it looks like. Right? That's what they do. They send their hit squads, right, too, because those migrants owe money, right? And they need enforcers, right? You got to have enforcers, or else your threats are worthless, right? So, now, speaking of migrants, migrants charged in border wall riot will stay in jail. So yesterday, there was an order to free all the migrants. Let's see what happened. 39 migrants charged by Texas with rioting at the border wall will not get their bond reduced. El Paso County Jail Magistrate Tony On made the call on Monday at the request of a public defender fearful of losing contact with her clients who would pass on to federal custody if released by local judges. That would hinder the chances of fighting off a conviction that not only could send them to prison, but disqualify them from future immigration benefits. Well, good. There is a hold on my client based on an immigration retainer. If your honor were to release him, he would not actually be released, said Kelly Childress, a county public defender. Therefore, we are requesting he remain in county jail because if he were to go to immigration center, he would not have any contact with me. So the state has accused more than 200 people of participating. We all know that. On Monday, whether by chance or design, Mexico stepped up patrols along its banks on the Rio Grande near Gate 36. Excuse me. Caravans of municipal police vehicles, a Mexican National Migration Institute canine unit, and scores of National Guard troops drove up and down the banks all day. The result was fewer migrants approaching and attempting to cross into the U.S. So my guess is that the Biden administration is going to go ahead and pay off the president of Mexico because the president of Mexico threatened to relax security if he didn't get his bribe money last week, we remember. And now he's stepping up security. So I'm going to assume that there was some agreement made on this ransom money that is going to be paid out to Mexico. They let them out. No, they're keeping them. They're saying that they're not releasing them and they're holding them in custody. Or at least some of them are being held, right? Some looks like are going to be released, but it looks like the majority of them are going to be held. If they sent their best, they wouldn't be getting caught. Well, they're applying for asylum, right? So that is like actually a pathway to citizenship. Now, all right. So I promised I would talk about this, guys, and here we are. Devastation in Gaza as Israel wages war on Hamas. An Israeli airstrike has killed at least 7 aid workers from a team delivering food to civilians in Gaza, according to nonprofit World Central Kitchen and authorities in the enclave. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the military unintentionally struck innocent people as the Israel Defense Forces pledged to investigate the strike at the highest levels. Iran has vowed to retaliate after a strike it blamed on Israel killed 2 of its top commanders and 5 others at its consulate in Syria on Monday. An Israeli military spokesperson told CNN that the intelligence indicates it was a military building of Quds forces disguised as a civilian building. And that's what they do, guys, right? We have to give the Israelis a little bit of leeway here on attacking civilian buildings, because the jihadis, it is known that they do hide behind the civilian population, right? On bond, okay. Yeah, some of them are not getting bonded out, though. That's what we just read. He said like 30-something of them. Now they also took out their largest hospital permanently, right? And, here's their jihadi hospital complex. What's it look like now? And that's what it looks like now, okay? Yeah, aid workers are Hamas. Maybe, I don't know. Supposedly there's a video of it. Can we watch?
The World Central Kitchen is pausing its Gaza operations after 7 of its workers were killed.
So the aid group is stopping
even
aid,
fewer options for Palestinians,
which
on the brink
is
of
ultimately
famine.
a win
They
for the
had
Jews.
just finished unloading 100 tons of food at a warehouse in central Gaza.
100
when
tons, that's a
weekdays
lot.
Their cars were hit by an Israeli strike. Here's what the Israeli Prime Minister had to say.
Unfortunately, in the last day, there was a tragic incident where our forces unintentionally struck innocent people in the Gaza Strip. It happens in war, and we are thoroughly investigating it. We are in contact with the government,
Just like
and we'll do
Biden.
everything to prevent such occurrences in the future.
World Central Kitchen.
Just like Joe Biden accidentally struck a U.S. aid worker in Afghanistan after the Abbey Gate incident. Just saying.
Has been feeding starving residents of Gaza since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. CNN's Melissa Bell is in Jerusalem.
They work for Hamas, probably.
Melissa, with devastating news.
They definitely, what they're leaving out here is that they were definitely in a convoy with Hamas, right? It wasn't that they hit the aid workers. It's that they hit a convoy of Hamas, and aid workers were in there.
For World Central Kitchen aid workers. What more do we know about
So,
the strike?
You see how that goes? Instead of the story being World Kitchen aid workers working directly with Hamas, right? It's evil Jews kill peaceful aid workers, right? Right? You see how that goes?
And importantly, also the messaging from Israel right now. What we've heard is that they were in touch with the IDF, they knew the route, but clearly something went wrong, and right now we just don't know what.
That's right. In fact, we've just been hearing from the IDF, Eleni, saying that
Innocent people, guys. Innocent people. Look what these innocent people do. Oh. They release maps of Jewish establishments and tell people to globalize the enchilada in this zone of operation. Right? You think I'm making this shit up? Worldwide intifada. I like to say enchilada. Right? They want to serve worldwide famous enchiladas down at Allen's Snack Bar. Home of Hamas. Hamas branded worldwide enchiladas, right? All you can eat enchiladas. Jihad salad, right? Haji wants to kill all the Jews, right? But that's fine. They're all innocent, guys. They're all innocent, right? Right? You know, it's only a genocide when the Jews do it. But, you know, when we do it, when you do it to the Jews, it's all good, right? It's cool to kill Jews, but it's not cool to kill fucking Jawas, right? Jihadi Jawas, right? That's bad. Killing jihadi Jawas is bad. Yeah. Yeah, I'm right about the... Yeah, all Jews are evil, buddy. Especially me. Now, what? They took my story down. Huh. They scrubbed the story off the internet. Amazing. Here we go. So we have a new Chaz, guys. Yeah. You are all Nazis and also the left. No Jews allowed. Yeah. So, comrades in New York City have constructed an autonomous zone at Zuccotti Park in the financial district. Oh, they're occupying Wall Street again. The People's Park, as it's called, is reminiscent of Washington State's Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, a 6-block occupation in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood that arose during the 2020 Summer of Rage. No matter the scale, autonomous zones have a common goal. Join together activists to promote the most hideous and often unrelated of social causes. In Seattle, it was an anti-cop movement coupled with the decolonization effort tacked on to movements to overthrow capitalism, the patriarchy, white supremacy, blah, 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 blah. Right? And one of their rules is no Jews, right? I think we have another one. Can we find another one? Oh, God damn it. I can't find it. All right, well, yeah. Yeah, so it's from the river to the sea, push all the Jews into fucking hell. That's fine. That's fine. But bomb a column of fucking jihadi terrorists, that's a genocide. It's a genocide, guys. Utini! That's what the Jawas say when you kill them in Super Star Wars. Yeah. A good one, Sonic Boy. Sonic Boy knows his fucking Star Wars shit. Way to go. No, it's not the Jews that hate the Palestinians at all. It's the Palestinians that hate the Jews, right? Like Holy Harlot, you said, why not just give them all Israeli citizenship? Because they won't take it. They won't even take their own goddamn country, right? They won't take anything less than the annihilation of the Jewish people, right? Right? They won't take their own country. They won't take Jewish citizenship. God damn, do I wish they would take Jewish citizenship, right? That would be the ideal thing, is that they want to assimilate into Western society, right? But they don't want to do that. They want to Murder, murder, jihad, murder. Right? They want Israel to be an Islamic fucking religious police state. Right? That's what they want. Right? I'm not saying that the Palestinians, don't have a right to be butthurt, right? But at the end of the day, they did it to themselves. Antifa think they are Kylo Ren, but really, they're all Jawas. They are. I don't understand either, right? Right? It's one day we're going to do an Israel thing, and we're really going to go into it. When you guys know what the history actually is, there's no way you can feel sorry for the Palestinians, right? They literally did it to themselves over and over and over and over and over again. No, nobody wants anything to do with them, right? And this is why. They are entirely stupid. I wonder if we can get video of this at Zuccotti Park. Let's look for this. I want to see it. I want to see how peaceful and loving the religion of peace can be. And why do we have... Oh, they were... No. Wow, surprisingly there's no video. Nope, I can't find anything. I will look because I want to see what's going on inside there. Okay. Well, guys, I think we're at the end here. Whoa. Yeah, we had fun. We learned a lot. I learned a lot about gun control. That is, that the more you attempt to regulate guns, the more likely you are to be a victim of a violent crime. Isn't that weird? You would think it would go the other way, but nope. It's just not how it is, guys. It's just not how it is. Gun control only helps the criminals because it keeps good guys with a gun from being able to do anything about it, right? There are no good guys with a gun. If you take away all the good guys with the gun, then the criminals run free. Right? I mean, that's what it looks like to me from looking at the data from around the world. Less guns equals less safe, guys. Remember that. I can't believe it's so easy to prove. All right, remember, YouTube hates my channel. Guys, they hate me. So if you guys want to support the channel, I dropped some links in the description. Yeah. feel free to do that. Now, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, I hope. If there's a press secretary, we never know until the same day. So I don't know if she's going to come out tomorrow until tomorrow, right? But besides that, yeah, that's it. All right, well, guys, I want to thank everyone for coming out. You guys are badass. Thank you so much. And remember, remember, we go live with all kinds of content whenever I want. And you never know when I'll be out again. So make sure you're still subscribed.
And click the bell.
All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Peace out. Bye.